Hello, my name is Rolando, and I'm going to talk about the origins of the Celtas, the Romans, and the Anglo-Saxon. First, the Celtas. The ancient Celts were diverse tribal groups that lived in regions of Central and Western Europe towards the end of the Bronze Age and during the Iron Age, 700 to 400 DC. Named as such by ancient writers, these tribes and their cultures migrated and settled in various territories, from Portugal to Turkey. Although they were distinct tribes and never formed a unified state, the ancient Celts were linked by language as well as marked similarities in art, warfare, religion, and burial practices. Although Celtic culture was absorbed by the Roman Empire beginning in the 1st century, the Celtic people continued to thrive in remote areas of Europe, such as Ireland and the northern British Isles, where Celtic languages are still spoken today. Most researchers agree that the origins of Celtic culture can be tracked back to the three older, overlapping, and closely related cultural groups. The first of these is the Late Bronze Age, unfilled culture located in the Upper Danube region from 1300 BCE. Its name derives from the common practice of using urns to store and bury the cremated remains of the deceased. These people remain largely unknown due to a lack of archaeological evidence. From the beginning of the first millennium, between the 1st and 3rd centuries, ironworking technology spread throughout Europe. As a result, iron replaced bronze and became the metal of choice for making stronger and durable weapons and tools. Now, the Romans. The Romans, the story of the ancient Rome began in the 753 BC, spanning the events that led to the founding of the Republic in 509 BC, the establishment of the Empire in 27 BC, and the eventual decline of the Western Empire in the 5th century AD. Rome must be considered one of the most successful imperial in history. Over the centuries, Rome grew from a small city on the banks of the Tiber River in central Italy into a vast empire that eventually encompassed England and the entire continent of the Europe west of the Rhine and south of the Danube. Most of Asia west of the Euphrates, North Africa, and the Mediterranean island, unlike the Greeks, who excelled in intellectual and aesthetic pursuits, the Romans achieved greatness in their military, political, and social institutions. Explained, Roman society during the Republic was governed by a strong military ethic. While this helps explain the incessant wars, it does not explain Rome's success as an imperial power. Unlike the Greek city-states, which excluded foreigners and subject peoples from political participation, the enduring effects of Roman rule in Europe can be seen in the geographical distribution of the Roman language: Italian, French, Spanish, Portuguese, and Romanian, all of which evolved from Latin, the language of the Romans. The 26-letter Western alphabet and the 12-month 365.25-day calendar are just two simple examples of the cultural legacy Rome has bequeathed to Western civilization. Finally, we have the Anglo-Saxon period in Great Britain, which spans approximately 6 centuries from 410 to 1066 AD. This period was formerly known as the Dark Ages, mainly due to the scarcity of written sources regarding the early years of the Saxon invasion. However, most historians now prefer the term Early Middle Ages or Early Medieval Period. It was an era of war, of the disintegration of Roman Britain into several separate kingdoms, of religious conversion, and, after the 790s, of continuous battle against a new group of invaders, the Vikings. Anglo-Saxon mercenaries had fought for many years in the Roman army in Britain, so they were not entirely unknown on the island. Their invasions were slow and piecemeal and began even before the Roman legions departed. There is even evidence suggesting that initially some Saxons were invited to help protect the country from invasion. When the Roman legions withdrew from Britain, Germanic-speaking Anglo-Saxon, Jutes, and Frisians began to arrive, at first in small raiding parties, but soon in growing numbers. Initially, they encountered little serious resistance from the relative defenseless inhabitants of Britain. However, around the year 500 AD, the invaders were fiercely resisted by the Romano-Britons, who may have been led by King Arthur, had he existed. Although there is no conclusive evidence of his existence, nevertheless, the monk Gildas, writing in the mid-6th century, speak of a British Christian leader named Ambrosius, who rallied the Romano-Britons against the invaders and won 12 battles. Later accounts identify him as Arthur. The Celtic regions of Britain regarded the Saxons as enemies and foreigners on their border. Their name became Sassenachs to the Scots and Saesneg to the Welsh. Various Anglo-Saxon groups settled in different parts of the country. They formed several kingdoms, which changed frequently and were constantly at war with one another. These kingdoms sometimes recognized one of the rulers as the Greek king, the Bretwalda. Thank you so much.
Hello, my name is Eric, and today I will talk about the formation of the United Kingdom. This process happened over many years and includes important events like the unions of England and Scotland, the inclusion of Ireland, and later the separation of most of Ireland. First, let's go back to the year 70 during the event. No acts of unions. Before this, England and Scotland were two separate countries, although they shared the same monarch. Both kingdoms agreed to unite and form a single country called the Kingdom of Great Britain. This union was widely political and economic. Scotland wanted better trade opportunities, and England wanted more stability and security. Next, another important event happened, the Acts of Union. This united Great Britain with Ireland, creating a new country called and the United Kingdom of the Great Britain and Ireland. However, this union was not entirely peaceful. Many people in Ireland were unhappy with British rule, specific political and religious differences. This tension eventually led to major changes in when most Ireland became independent after the Anglo-Irish Treaty. As a result, the country changed a guide and become what we United Kingdom, which includes England, um, Wales, and Northern Ireland. Today, the United Kingdom is a union or nation, each with its own identified culture and tradition, and under one or government and monarch. In conclusion, the United Kingdom was to create a single moment through a series and important units and separation over time. These events shaped the country into what is today. Thank you very much.
Do you know that England didn't start as a single country, but as a puzzle of warring kingdoms? Today, we're looking at two key moments that changed the fate of this island forever. the resistance of Alfred the Great, and the cultural shock of 1066. By the late 9th century, Vikings had destroyed almost everything. Only one kingdom remained standing, Wessex. Its king Alfred was just a warrior. He was a strategist. After his victory at Battle of Edington, Alfred did something brilliant. Instead of just fighting, he bought boars, fortified towns, and promoted education in English. Although he didn't like to see a fully united England, he laid the legal and cultural foundations that is why he is the only English monarch called the Great. Fast forward to the year 1066, the throne is empty and three men claimed it. The climax happened at the famous Battle of Hastings. William the Conqueror, an Norman duke from France, defeated the last Saxon king. This wasn't just a military victory. It was a total transformation of society, feudalism, with William imposed a structure where a land ultimately belonged to the king. Architecture, the Normans filled the landscape with stone castles and tower cathedrals to the project's entire power. And the language, French became the language for nobility and law. This is why today we use sophisticated words of French origin alongside common words of Germanic origin. It's the legacy of 1066. From the Saxon resistance of Alfred to the administrative organizations of the Normans, England was forged in the conflict, a blend of Viking Saxon and French blood that defined the nation's identity. Thank you for watching this video.
The United Kingdom's flag, known as the Union Jack, was officially adopted in 1801. It combines three crosses: St. George Cross, St. Andrew's Cross, and St. Patrick's Cross. Together they symbolize the political union of this nation under one sovereign state. The flag uses red, white, and blue colors. The United Kingdom's royal coat of arms represents the monarch and the state. It is divided into three quarters: three golden lions, rampant lion, and golden harp. It is supported by a lion and a unicorn, symbolizes England and Scotland. It also includes the mottos: Honi soit qui mal en pense and Dieu et mon droit. Floral symbols like the rose, thistle, and shamrock represents the nations of the United Kingdom. The national anthem is God Save the King or Queen, depending on the monarch. It dates back to 1745, and both the composers and lyricists are unknown. The anthem expresses loyalty to the monarch and wishes for protection, prosperity, and stability for the nation. It is also used in other Commonwealth realms.